So you've decided that you're moving to Bend. That's a good decision. You've done your due diligence. You've been around the West Coast looking at other towns and sizing them up to Bend. You've been to Bend multiple times over the last couple of years. The summertime, of course, who doesn't love the summertime in Bend? But you've also tasted the wintertime and the spring and the fall. You understand the seasonality of what Central Oregon life is all about, and you compare it to other locations that you were considering, and nothing holds the weight of Bend when it comes to the idea and the thought of retiring here. And so now your big problem is, and it's a good problem to have, where in Bend are you going to live? Where are you going to move to? Today's video is designed to help uncover that. We're going to be specific to the west side of Bend because we know there's so much appeal on the west side of Bend for retirees. There's so many different subdivisions, flavors of neighborhoods over there that really speak volumes to those retirees that are looking for the right place to live. And that's what this is really all about. We've got 4 subdivisions that we're going to be really highlighting today in this video, but we're also going to be touching on other things that are important to you, like the pros and the cons of retiring in Bend and Central Oregon. But also we're going to be talking to locals, what it's really like for them to live here full time, 365 days out of the year. We want this to be a one-stop shop as a retirement or a pre-retirement guide for you. Maybe you're still kind of doing that due diligence right now. That's what this video really is designed to do. We'll give you a taste of 4 fantastic neighborhoods, but also really paint a picture of what life is like in Bend as a retiree, especially on the west side. So if this video sounds like it's going to be of service to you, jump into it right now. It's a long one, but this can be watched in parts or in one sit-down session if you're really excited about getting this research done and under your belt. We're going to start right now with our first neighborhood at Northwest Crossing. It is the OG of master plan communities here in the Central Oregon area, and many consider it to be the heartbeat of the west side of Bend. So without further ado, let's just jump into this video right now and start with the OG master plan community, Northwest Crossing. So we've got this master plan community on the very far west edge of Bend. It's called Northwest Crossing, right? You've probably heard of it, especially if you pay any attention to Bend at all. If you visit here, if you live here, you know about Northwest Crossing. What's unique about Northwest Crossing is that it's kind of the pioneering master plan development in the city of Bend, going back 25 years. But it's basically at completion. It's at its maturity level, right? Something finally matured in Bend. It's not just all brand new construction like it seems every which other way you look in Bend. We've got many other master plan developments that are undergoing their early phases of development right now. But it doesn't give us a sense of what the character and the vibe and the culture is of those respective neighborhoods or those subdivisions and developments because they're so early on in the process. And that's the way it's going to be in Bend for some time. But with Northwest Crossing, we've got of this master plan development that started back in 2000. Now it seems like it's complete. It's mature. You can go there and you can understand what the vision was going back 30 years when those developers started envisioning what it would become on the west side of Bend. Today we want to talk about that. We want to show you a 2025 version of a vlog of what Northwest Crossing really has become. Because after all, it's almost 500 acres, almost 1,200 households. And the households vary. It's a master planned community. So you're going to have apartments, you'll have condos, you'll have cottage style bungalows, you'll have townhomes, and of course, single family residences. And the architectural style is going to vary too. It's very unique over here. The additional amenities of this area, hence the reason why a lot of people say you never have to leave the community, is because of the retail, the coffee shops, the bakeries, the little grocery stores, the restaurants are fantastic. There's schools here. There's probably 5 or 6 different schools. They range from, say, 2 different elementary schools, a middle school, and one of our 4 high schools right here in this little area of Bend. In addition to that, the parks. It seems like there's a park every few hundred yards in this particular area, and they're all different styles too. Bend Parks and Rec actually maintains them too, so that's an added bonus. So they're always going to be in pristine condition. But the overall location, being on the west side of Bend, at the gateway to the Deschutes National Forest, Century Drive, and the road to the Mount Bachelor recreation area, as well as the Cascade Lakes area. It's really second to none. It's why the west side of Bend is so sought after, and most importantly, a subdivision slash community like Northwest Crossing, where many others are trying to emulate that right now. They're just 10 to 15 to 20 years behind the progress. But we're going to go through it right now, give you a feel for what it is like all about in 2025, so you understand what a 30-year vision at its completion actually looks like. So let's hop in the car and just get after it right now. Okay, so we're in the car and we are about to take a right onto Crossing Drive. And now you'll see that this is going to be the primary commercial area of Northwest Crossing in this master plan development. You got commercial buildings on both sides. You got some pretty cool businesses right here in this corner. You got the Grove, which is like an indoor food truck lot, as well as RBC, Rancher Butcher Chef, which is like the primary and premier steakhouse in all of Bend. So we go through this roundabout now, you're going to see La Rosa. Not just a staple in Northwest Crossing, but a Mexican restaurant staple all across the city of Bend. As we go further down, you got two great eateries on the left hand and the right hand side. What you see is a side angle view of the Sparrow Bakery, one of the premier bakeries in all of town. On the right hand side back there was going to be a burger joint called Mountain Burger. Very unique style burgers, highly recommend. Now, as we continue further down Crossing Drive, we're transitioning from commercial into residential. We're entering into this large roundabout. And on the inside of this roundabout, it's probably the biggest roundabout in Bend, it's Compass Park. Okay, it's a 5-acre park. It's a big circle. You see native vegetation, you see grassy areas, but it's a great complement to the houses that are on the outside of the road that we're driving on right now on Crossing Drive. So this gives you a vibe of the neighborhood, the subdivision, the master plan development, the vision that was kind of written back 30 some years ago. You got the houses, you got the parks, you got the commercial areas. It's all within a tight-knit community. But rest assured, there's actually more that we need to show you here. Now, you see here the differences in the camera here. You can see when I'm going straight, this was recorded back in about mid to late April. You can see the leaves aren't fully on these trees that in that section or that portion of the spring. Whereas when I do the side angle view out the window, what you're going to notice is that the leaves are finally developed, and that took about a month. But we're here kind of bridging from Crossing Drive, the commercial area, and now we're going to hang a right onto High Lakes Loop because I want to show you this school. We got High Lakes Elementary School that's right in the middle of Northwest Crossing. There's a lot of master plan communities that are trying to emulate this exact thing with their development right now. You can see the aerial view. You got this amazing elementary school right in the middle of this 486 acre development, subdivision, 1,200 homes. And so there are new developments, new master plan communities that are trying to mimic this exact thing. The only issue is while they've zoned property and land within their developments for a new school, when is that new school actually needed? When's it going to be something that breaks ground? And so that is something that's in the works, but new schools, especially elementaries, probably once every couple of years. Certainly not as frequent, or certainly more frequent than, say, high school and middle school. But that gives you a vibe for the culture and the sentiment of this neighborhood. And then additionally, you see the homes. Okay, we're looking at homes now, and there are varying styles of homes, not just craftsman style construction and architecture, but it's mid-century modern, it's more contemporary, it's more modern. I mean, we've got craftsman style, which is great, but it's like an eclectic mix of all kinds of different style of homes, which also gives Northwest Crossing this vibe and this culture and just this neighborhood that people want to live in. And the price point for homes right now in this section of Bend reflects that. It's the most expensive part of Bend, and we will touch on that here in just a second. Hey, if you guys are getting ready to jump into the market in some capacity, whether you're buying, whether you're selling, whether you're doing a combination of the two in the near future here in Central Oregon, and you don't have a realtor lined up yet, please reach out to me. We would love to be the ones that help you with that transaction. But it starts with you guys calling us or texting us. You can see the phone number right there. It's all across the channel as well. Give us a call or shoot us a text. We'll get that initial conversation on the calendar so then we can figure out what the next course of action should be pertaining to your real estate transaction. Thank you guys for watching these videos. And now on to today's content. All right, we just came out of that roundabout at Crossing Drive. Now we're on Lemhi Pass. We're heading about, we're going basically west. And we're going to be passing through a more developed, older section of Northwest Crossing. But back to some of those statistics here. About 60 homes sold in Northwest Crossing in the last 12 months. They range from, say, $800,000 smaller homes in the 1,200 square foot range all the way up to 2.6 million 4,000 plus square foot homes. Median is going to be right in the 1,950 square foot range for the size, and then the median price for a sold home is going to be about 1.17 million. Yep. That gives you an understanding, okay? A very desired area of town. It's on the west side of Bend. It's at the gateway to basically all the west side amenities. Cascade Lake Scenic Byway, you got Mount Bachelor, of course, we've touched on that already, but again, it's the location that matters. You're about 5 minutes from downtown, you're about 5 minutes from, say, the west side amenities of Galveston Avenue, Newport Avenue. You're, again, about 5 to 10 minutes from the Old Mill District, the parks that are down there along the river, the amphitheater down there. Location is absolutely key. And that's what makes Northwest Crossing such a vibrant community, with just home prices that seem like they're appreciating faster than anywhere else in Bend. But again, take a look at these homes here, and hopefully this gives you guys some real perspective as to what's going on, because each one of these homes, it feels like they're different from the next one. And it's not just a cookie cutter neighborhood where you're going to have, say, the same model of home 5 times over, with just 5 different versions of a home that make up a subdivision. That happens a lot. But with master plan developments that are ongoing in the city of Bend right now, and there is a collection of them. You've probably heard of Stevens Ranch. You've probably heard of Easton by Polish Homes. You've probably heard of Discovery West. It's right adjacent to Northwest Crossing here, actually. But you've got a collection. There's Petrosa as well on the northeast side of town. That's by Polish Homes as well. But these are master plan developments right now that are ongoing, and they're very, very new in terms of their development. Yeah, the homes are up and people have already purchased the home. Some people have already resold their homes, but the development in the community itself is not complete. And so you don't understand really what that vision is all about. Whereas with Northwest Crossing, where we're at here, it's basically a completed project. And so you get to understand and live in an area right now that has this type of culture and this type of setting that was planned years and years ago. That's what makes this so unique. Now, I mean, in this section of Northwest Crossing right now, you can see kind of contemporary home, mid-century modern. You've got modern style architecture that coincides with, say, craftsman style homes. And you can see where we're at now. We're kind of getting to the south side. We're going down a hill here, but it's just a very unique area that a lot of people want to live in and they want to be a part of. There's a lot of people that don't even live in Northwest Crossing, but they'll come to this particular section of Bend at least once a week, maybe a couple times a week, whether they're working over here, whether they're just going to a coffee shop over here or a restaurant, or that Saturday market that we have for about 5 months out of the year, or maybe they're going to Summit High School for a sporting event or some sort of event going on at the school. And that's, again, it's just a compliment to this section of town where you can ultimately live here and feel like you don't really need to go anywhere all that often. Of course, you're going to have to. Not everything is here, but you can survive. There's just enough here. Some of the best restaurants in Bend are right here in Northwest Crossing. And so you got people from all areas of town that are coming to this area, this section of town, this master plan community, just to frequent the businesses. And, you know, you could live in a little section of town that has this. And as time goes on, as Bend gets bigger, we're forecasted for 150 to 170,000 people within the next 20 years. We're going to have more fully developed master plan communities, kind of like Northwest Crossing, that are more mature, and they have their restaurants and their businesses and maybe a school. Right now, Stevens Ranch has that 100,000 square foot library that feels like it's almost done. If you guys have seen that, that's a remarkable building. But just imagine what goes around that over the next 10 to 15 years. It's going to be quite a sight. But this gives you an idea as to where Bend is going with their residential development outlook. And that's what a video like today's is supposed to demonstrate. A master plan community that was started 25 years ago that is now at its completion or near completion. So you understand, okay, this is where things are going with Bend and the future development of this particular city, because it's a very vibrant city. It's growing at a very rapid pace. And it's important to understand that it's not just going to be the same vanilla style subdivisions like many other towns in this country. That's what it feels like. I won't name names, but it's certainly a Northwest Crossing style neighborhood like this, hopefully with more to come, gives it that unique style, perspective, and its own character. So today we're going to be doing another tour of a acclaimed subdivision on the west side of Bend. I mean, there are dozens and dozens of different areas and neighborhoods on the west side of Bend that get a lot of fame, a lot of the clout, and a lot of the notoriety. And chances are you've heard of many of them, especially if you've been doing any type of due diligence on where it is you want to live in Bend. Whether you're here already or whether you're somewhere else looking to make that relocation move to the Bend area, and the west side is your preference. After all, why is the west side so popular? I think we know that. We've discussed this at length on many previous videos. It is the gateway to Mount Bachelor. It's the gateway to the Cascade Lakes area. It goes up the slope towards those Cascade Mountains. So there are hiking trails and biking trails. The Deschutes River runs right through the west side of Bend and goes up into the mountains. So the location is key, but also the city amenities now on the west side are so fantastic. You are close to the old mill. You're close to downtown. You're close to the box factory. We're close to the Northwest Crossing and the Discovery West commercial areas as well. So just about any subdivision on the west side is going to be close in proximity to all kinds of amenities. Now with today's video, we're going to be entering into a gated community, a private golf club, one of the premier, maybe one of the more original private gated communities that Bend has ever had, dating back to the early 1990s. Chances are you've heard of it. Now maybe there's a chance you haven't heard of it either. It's not Tetherow, it's not Aubrey Glen, it's not on Aubrey Butte, it's not part of Discovery West or Northwest Crossing, but it's still on the west side, very centrally located. Today we're going to be jumping into the car and touring Broken Tops subdivision and the neighborhood surrounded by that fantastic 18-hole golf course and that huge 27,000 square foot clubhouse that they have behind the scenes. Yeah, that's right. It's a large one, and it's a fantastic little neighborhood focused on estate style home sites. Fantastic custom builds dating back to the early 1990s and going all the way into more recent builds, say in the last 5 to maybe 10 years. But ultimately speaking, over 700, maybe 800 homes plus in this subdivision, and they are so centrally located and they're all custom builds. So I'm super excited to share this with you. It's one of my favorite neighborhoods in Bend. The energy is absolutely fantastic. So we're gonna hop into the car right now. I'm gonna drive you through that front primary gate. We're gonna go tour what this neighborhood really is all about to give you a feel of what living in Broken Top is all about. So I will see you in the car in just a second. Now, as we make our way from Mount Washington Drive right here to the left, going on to Broken Top Drive, chances are you've driven by that on Mount Washington Drive before, but maybe not necessarily driven into this subdivision. Here's a little gatehouse here. There's tight security here within this subdivision. So it's like, you got to explain your case. I'm trying to explain why I'm going into the neighborhood right now. I'm a realtor trying to provide my audience with the top level insight as to what's going on from a real estate perspective of this subdivision. So naturally, she grants me access, which I'm thankful for, but it takes a little while sometimes to get in here if you're a guest. And if you're a resident, then you have two different entry points. This is the primary entry right here. You see that gate going up. Then you have another one a little bit further down to the north. But as we get ready to go in, to the left here is going to be the clubhouse. This is going to be the east-facing slope of that 27, I think over 28,000 square foot clubhouse. You can see it from across this huge pond too. This is where the driving range is. And you have that little cabin over there. But this is just the kind of the layout of the golf course. You got homes over here to the right, but the landscaping is just absolutely stunning. It just gives this great energy and this great vibe of just gated living, golf course living in the Bend area, right on the west side. It's why I love this neighborhood so much. So now we're back on the primary road. This is Broken Top Drive here. We're entering into the subdivision. You have kind of a common area there on the left-hand side. And then a little bit further left is going to be the 10th fairway. Golf course is fantastic. It's one of my favorite golf courses to play as well. And there are golf memberships available. You don't have to be a member if you live within the subdivision and vice versa. You don't have to live here to be able to be a member as well. It's not required either way. But now as we continue going in, what you're going to notice are the towering ponderosa pines. These are the native ponderosa pines. We're on the west side of Bend. We're kind of sloping upward. Remember, a lot of times, it depends on where you are in Bend. It's like the tree line kind of divides Bend. On the east side, you get more junipers. On the west side, you're going to get more of these towering ponderosa pines. And you got some of these aspen trees as well. So more of a established subdivision. You might see some hardwood trees as well. One of the cool things about Bend, and a way to tell the age of a certain section of Bend, like say Drake Park, and how old it really is just you look at like the non-native trees. You have hardwood trees in there that are literally hundreds of feet tall, whether they're maple or other types of hardwood trees. Those were planted there at some point. They're not native. And so if they're actually established and mature, then that section of town has been there for a while. You kind of get that here. We just kind of turned on to one of the primary roads of Broken Top. It's called Tam MacArthur. So you're going to see some side footage here of these homes as I drive through here. And what you're going to notice are larger than typical size lots, probably, a third of an acre, up to a half an acre, up to even maybe just under an acre. And you've got these fantastic custom builds. Now, most of these were built back in, say, the early to mid to late 1990s, with a collection of them having not been built until after 2000. I think some of the cutoff line there, I'm sure there's some new construction going on right now, but more or less like up to like say 2010, 2015, that's generally where and how this subdivision ended up getting to a level of maturity, if you will. But when you're looking at these homes, as we're driving through here, what you're going to notice is they're set off from the primary road here. So they go back into the lot a little ways. And the stats on these homes are pretty remarkable. You got homes that sold for say 880 to 900,000 last year, single families, but they go all the way up into the mid to upper 2 millions, even into the 3 millions, with a small percentage of them. And so what you're buying is just the fantastic design of these homes, the originality of each and every one of these. Some of my favorite homes that I've ever showed in my real estate career have been right here in this subdivision. Now, many of them are dated. They need a little TLC. They go back to their original date of completion back in the early to mid 1990s, but others have taken the time to really give them that update and just really modernize some of these homes within the subdivision here. So it's a pretty unique mix of just really modern architecture and design work, those that have had those types of renovations. And then there's also a plentiful amount that are probably ready for something along those lines when it comes to, say, getting that upgrade and that renovation to get them up to speed as to where they're at. And that would really enhance the value. Because right now, the median home price in Broken Top is going to be roughly 1.7 million for a single family home. And the median size is about 3,200 square feet, maybe just a little bit underneath that. And so you get a wide variation of homes as well in terms of what size they are. Like the smallest home that sold last year in terms of a single family home in the Broken Top area was 1,880 square feet, and the largest was 5,336. Now that 5336 home that sold for 3.5 million last year, and the home that's 1,880 square feet that sold for 805,000. So you have a wide variation of homes within this subdivision, and that's something that provides opportunity for just about anybody that would like to live in a gated community like this. Now, are there drawbacks to living in a gated community like this? Sure. There's a sense of isolation. There are certain HOA restrictions that probably need to be abided by on a pretty regular basis. I mean, there's a lot of those in Bend, right? There's a lot of neighborhoods and subdivisions with those association fees that are, they're pretty, they're hell-bent on enforcing those rules. And Broken Top might be one of them. It just depends on what you're looking for when it comes to, say, a gated community with a typical association attached to that subdivision. And so that's what you get here. But regardless of the what could be negatives, there are plenty of pros. And the location really is one of them. The ambience, the energy, the vibe, and of course, not just the clubhouse with the golf. If you're looking for something like that, there's also additional amenities that go along with being part of the Broken Top community, whether that's the pool, whether that's the court sports. The pickleball has really kind of taken a step forward here as well in the Broken Top community over the last few years. And so you have this sense of community that's pretty fantastic. And it's really hard to beat. The median age of homeowners within the Broken Top community is roughly 55 to 58 years old. And so that gives you another idea as to kind of the type of people that are living in the community as we speak right now. 85% are homeowners, they own the home that they live in. And that also gives you another idea as to, okay, who it is exactly looking or living in this particular subdivision right now. Now, as we continue on, we just kind of looped all the way through Tam MacArthur Loop, and now we're back on Broken Top Drive. I'll show you some more map footage here. I've showed it to you a couple times, but you look at the aerial view of the subdivision right now. You got three pretty primary roads. You've got Broken Top Drive, you got Tam MacArthur Loop, and now you have Green Lakes Loop, which is what we're going to be venturing into now to continue on with this driving tour. But again, you look at these homes. I'm going to show you some of the recent sales and what some of the homes really look like, because you can see the exterior, you can see the landscaping of the subdivision. The association does a fantastic job of maintaining everything along the roads. There are great hiking, walking paths on each or just about most of these roads as well. So it's great for the community. A lot of people love to just get out and go around the neighborhood on a daily basis and just enjoy the ambience of the neighborhood. And now, if you were looking to, say, learn more about what's around Broken Top, you have fantastic access to just about everything Bend has to offer and what makes Bend famous. I touched on it in the intro. We're talking about where it is in proximity to, say, Mount Bachelor. Well, you come out of the subdivision here and you're on Mount Washington Drive. That intersects with Century Drive, and then you're off to the races heading westbound to Mount Bachelor, to the Cascade Lakes. You got Elk Lake, you got Sparks Lake, you got Devil's Lake, you got Lava Lake. You want to go further back there, 30, 40 miles into the Century Drive Cascade Lake Scenic Byway. You're going to end up at Cultus Lake. You'll have Crane Prairie Reservoir. You're going to have Wickiup Reservoir. Eventually, it gets all the way to Highway 58. You'll even see maybe Odell Lake, Crescent Lake. They're all back there. Davis Lake. Those are all fantastic lakes. And of course, you got the mountains. You've got Broken Top. Okay. You're going to see Broken Top. I mean, that's obviously you got to go up to check out Broken Top and maybe check out No Name Lake. You've got South Sister. You've got Bachelor, of course. I mean, you have all the recreational opportunities of the Cascade Lakes and Central Oregon area at your disposal. Now, you also have access to the Deschutes River. You have access to other golf courses. You have inside the city limits, you have fantastic amenities as well that are very centrally located to Broken Top subdivision. Now, just up the road, the other direction on Mount Washington Drive, you're going to run into Northwest Crossing, which has a fantastic commercial scene over there, along with Discovery West, Discovery Park, the Grove. I mean, great little neighborhood style commercial areas that are all so close in proximity to Broken Top. You got the Athletic Club of Bend, which is just maybe a mile away. You got Tetherow, which is maybe half a mile away. You've got the Skyliner Sports Complex, which is right across the road of Metolius Drive, which kind of goes on the outbound portion of Broken Top's border. So there's just so many different things to access in a very short amount of time coming out of the Broken Top area, which is pretty unique. Downtown's probably a 5-minute drive. Old Mill is 5 minutes away. Several parks along the river in a central portion of Bend are about 5 minutes to 10 minutes away. If you need to get to the airport, you're going to go onto the parkway. It's probably going to be about a 30 to 35-minute drive getting through the west side of Bend before you merge onto Highway 97. So Redmond's Commercial Airport, Roberts Field, that's going to be about 30 to 35 minutes away. Costco is going to be about a 10, maybe a 12-minute drive away if you go up over the backside of Aubrey Butte. So you have access, you've got central location to everything. Most of our relocation clients end up coming from a huge metropolitan area in which they are used to traffic and time in the car. And with this particular neighborhood, anywhere in Bend, really, it's just not going to be so bad. And that's what a lot of our clients end up laughing when we discuss sarcastically. We're talking about the traffic, the traffic, got to wait 15 minutes for this or that. And so it's really no big deal. But ultimately speaking, you get a feel for what this neighborhood really is all about. A lot of towering ponderosa pines, a fantastic 18-hole golf course, an even more impressive lodge style 27,000 plus square foot clubhouse with a restaurant. And that the amenities just continue on and on. But ultimately, ultimately speaking, you're paying for the neighborhood, you're paying for the location, you're paying for the fantastic design work of most of these custom builds, and of course, your access points to everything else that makes Bend what it truly is. So hopefully a driving tour like this has given you some perspective as to what Broken Top, a very under the radar style gated community on the west side of Bend, really is all about, because it is a unique neighborhood and it is very sought after. Again, there were 35 total sales in terms of single family homes in the last year in the Broken Top subdivision here, the gated portion of it. And again, we talked about our median home price was roughly 1.7 million, with a median size home being about 3,200 square feet. So that puts price per square foot at about $545-ish over the last 12 months. This market's interesting, right? I mean, a lot of homes are sitting, a lot of homes are going relatively quickly, but more so leaning towards homes are sitting a little bit longer. Right now, there could be deals to be had in Broken Top as well. In fact, the inspiration for this video came from one of our clients who is very interested in the Broken Top subdivision right now. And we went and toured a couple homes. We saw a couple that were a little bit dated. We saw a couple that were absolutely stunning. So you get a good mix of both. And that's what our goal was with a channel like this, is to give you a good mix of everything Bend and Central Oregon has to offer. So we are on Metolius Drive. We're heading westbound right now. This is kind of like the Broken Top community here, stretch of Metolius Drive. Right to the left here is going to be the Parks of Broken Top, a great subdivision. We'll save that for another video. But as we get further along, we just completely transform the landscape, right? We're no longer in this lush green area that is Broken Top. This is now native vegetation. This is Tetherow. We just entered the property of Tetherow. Remember, 700 plus acres. And here's an aerial view here of where Tetherow is located in Southwest Bend. Little close up, you see that we're close to Phil's Trailhead. We're close to Century Drive. It's close to Farewell Bend Park and the Skyline Sports Complex. Point is that it's very centrally located to many things that Bend is in demand for. Now we get further along, it kind of opens up. The trees kind of separate. Not as many trees now. You can see the outline of the mountains out there to the west. You got Bachelor, you got Broken Top, you got South Sister, and the sun's going down behind them. It's about 8:30, 8:45 at night here in mid-July, to give you that perspective of what time of year it is right now as we continue driving along. It's a great time of day to be outside in the Tetherow Resort area, typically about 75 degrees. There's a lot of people out and about right now, as you can see here. We're now on Skyline Ranch Road. We're going to do a U-turn real quick to show you that bridge one more time, because it's a pretty cool bridge. A lot of people get their photos taken on that bridge each fall. But we're back going southbound on Skyline Ranch Road, the primary road that goes through Tetherow here. You'll see these big, large buildings right now. Okay, that's the resort area. That's going to be a hotel. It's going to be the golf clubhouse. It's going to be multiple restaurants. It's going to be the athletic and fitness center. It's going to be the corporate offices of Tetherow up there. There's also residences up there, but we're not going to focus on that today. We're focused on golf course living right now. We just entered through a gate, and we're going to be zipping through a couple different streets here. Right now, this is Cannon Court. It's a very short road. It just loops around right here. 17 total home sites on this particular street. 0 have sold in the last 6 years on this stretch. So that gives you an idea that this particular area of Tetherow is popular, it's in demand, and it's currently not for sale. It could change, though, in the near future. We don't know. But as we come back to the stop sign of Skein Trail, we're going to hang a left, and we're going to get further into this little section of single-family homes inside the gates on the golf course. Remember, Tetherow is 700 acres. Okay, and there's only one golf course, and there's a very small percentage of homes that are actually on the golf course. You can see this aerial view right now of where we're at. 2 homes on this Skein Trail stretch that we're going to be driving through right now have sold in the last year. And we'll get to those in just a second, but I want to give you this perspective. We're driving now on Skein Trail. There's golf holes on both sides of this road right now. So homes to the right probably are on hole 8, homes to the left are on hole 2. And this is twilight in the summertime, gives you an idea of what the ambience really is like. What does it feel like to be right here in the middle of this premier golf course community in the middle of the summertime? Now, Skein Trail has had 2 sales in the last year. One sold for $2.95 million. Okay, that was on the lower end of the price point. Okay, as you can see the pictures here. The other home that sold in the last year sold for $3.775 million. Now we're going through these pictures as well. These are spectacular homes, as you can see here. But this is kind of the vibe that you get from Tetherow now. And there are different flavors of Tetherow, like I touched on, as we take a right onto Wynard. Now, again, we're still inside the primary golf course community itself section of Tetherow here, as we're you can see the aerial view again. We're still on the front 9. Okay, we'll get to the back 9 here soon as we get further into this video, but there are homes in this section of Tetherow that have been around for almost 20 years. That home straight ahead there, that one last sold in 2023 for $4.1 million. That gives you a perspective of where we're at right now in the market. So 4.1 is going to be among the more expensive homes that are in Tetherow right now. If we were to give you some data over the last year, 27 total homes have sold in Tetherow, and they range in between, say, $740,000 for a single family home, about that, just over 1,000 square feet, all the way up to $3.92 million in the last year. So that one we just looked at, that was actually higher in 2023 than what we've had in the last year here in Tetherow. The median home price right now of the 27 that have sold in the last year is $2.8 million. To give you that perspective, okay? Again, the premier golf course community in Bend. Back on the road now, this is Metolius Drive. We're heading eastbound on it. So this is the exact road that we came in on to start the video. But we're going to hang a left up on Hosmer Lake Drive here in just a second, because that is the portion of the golf course living on Tetherow's golf course that is basically the back 9. So we're kind of here now. We're on Hosmer Lake. We're going to zip through this part where we're facing the sun directly. But I want to talk about just kind of like location-wise. Tetherow is in a spectacular central location, of course, to all the outdoor amenities that Bend has to offer. We're right next to Phil's Trail, after all, and just about 15 minutes to Mount Bachelor, 20 minutes, 25 minutes to Elk Lake, and just the other outdoor amenities thereafter that make Central Oregon famous. But what about Bend, the city of Bend? We're right on the edge of Bend's city limit line, but we're close to Northwest Crossing. And Northwest Crossing has great restaurants, great shops. So does Discovery West. They're just getting theirs going now. But we're also just 5 to 10 minutes away from the downtown area, the Old Mill area, the Box Factory area. We're close to the Parkway, which can get you to Costco, get you to the Redmond Airport in about 30 minutes or so to the airport, probably about 15 minutes to Costco. But it, again, is all about the west side central location because you're close to so many different things. Or even closer to like the 14th Street Avenue / Century Drive Avenue corridor, the Galveston Avenue corridor, the Newport Avenue corridors, restaurants, shops galore. It's why Bend's famous, the west side of town. And you're close to everything being on the west side yourself here in Tetherow. But again, you see these homes on Hosmer Lake Drive, and we're coming up towards the end of Hosmer Lake Drive here. But in the last year, there were 6 sales in this little section of where we're driving right now. And they range from say 2.5 million all the way up to 3.625. And all these homes were built in say 2014 or afterwards, so newer. And that gives you some perspective of this particular section as we just kind of transition back onto Skyline Ranch Road, where I have one more section of Tetherow to show you in today's video. We just went through that bridge. That might look familiar if you're still watching. We saw that earlier in the video, but we're on Skyline Ranch Road here. We're about to take a left onto a road called Hardin Martin Court. And this is a very interesting little gated section of Tetherow as well, that you can see the mountains there. You know, sometimes I talk about how you can be too close to the mountains to see the mountains. Well, that kind of feels that way with that little peak right there straight ahead. That is actually North Sister, but you can see South Sister and Broken Top a little bit better. But this Hardin Martin Court is very centrally located as well. It's on holes 3, 4, 5, maybe a little bit of 6. But you've got some of these homes, I'll try and find pictures of them, where the backyards go almost right into the golf. It's pretty unique. So you get these just really close-up views of people playing golf out there. That could be a good thing, that could be a bad thing, I don't know. But here you are in this tiny section of Tetherow as well, where you got homes. There's just a few of them, but it's so centrally located. And we're talking probably high 2-point-something million to the mid to higher $3 million price points. Like, look at this home right here. For this particular section of Tetherow, again, I've talked about it at length. There are many flavors of Tetherow as we make our way back onto Hosmer Lake to finish up this video. There's many flavors of Tetherow. There's 700 acres. There are 400 plus home sites, but these were the primary and premier homes that Tetherow has, that we went by today. These were the most sought after neighborhoods that command the highest price point. That was the goal for today's video, was to give you that vantage point. Okay, because there's other sections of Tetherow up by the resort area where there's cottage style bungalows, or there's townhomes, or there's smaller, much smaller style single family homes that go for $1 million or 1.2 or 1.3 million. Whereas what we just did, we went through the section of Tetherow that commands the highest price point. So hopefully this video did give you a little perspective, maybe allowed you to decide, okay, I do like this area or I don't like this area. But Tetherow is very sought after. It's in demand. It's in a very central location, and it will remain in demand for the foreseeable future. We're back on Mount Washington Drive now. This is a primary road on the west side. It just, everything is just so well landscaped on the west side of town. It's the primary part of town. It's premier for Bend, and people just tend to gravitate to the west side somehow, some way. It seems like just about every day, only because it is the gateway to all the amenities up in the mountains. But that's why Bend is famous. My name's Ryan. I'm a licensed broker with eXp Realty here in the state of Oregon. If it's your time to reach out, please do so. It starts with you. Call me or text me. We can set up a phone meeting, a Zoom meeting, or we can set up some sort of face-to-face here in town if you're local, and we can figure out what the next course of action should be with your real estate situation. Discovery West, that master plan community over there on the very far west edge of Bend, the ultimate representation of balance when it comes to a 2026 master plan community? That's the question we want to ask and hopefully answer in today's video, because after all, there are many different master plan communities that are under construction right now, whether they're in phase 1 or phase 8 or somewhere in between. But something about Discovery West just feels different. Could it be its location being right there in the very west edge of Bend as it slopes into the Deschutes National Forest, eventually taking you to Mount Bachelor in the Cascade Lakes area? Or could it be the fact that it's located in the heart of the west side of Bend, right next to the original master plan community in Northwest Crossing? What we get to see now, 25 years later, is a finished product. Could Discovery West, now that it's 5 or 6 years old, be on the short road to something similar when it comes to its completion date? We're already starting to see the makeup and the personality of Discovery West take shape, and it's pretty unique. But what else really separates it from the masses? Could it be the high-end construction mixed with its location? Could it be the architectural variety? We're talking 19 or 20 different builders that all contribute their portfolio of work to make Discovery West what it is. Could it be the unit mix designed into the master plan that really separates it from other master plan communities? From single family dwellings to cottage style units to townhomes to even mews? Could it be the fact that it's also right in the heart of all kinds of common area within the west side of Bend? Not just the 40 acres that are pre-planned and designed into Discovery West, but what's around it as well. From Northwest Crossing and the dozens of parks within the area, to say Phil's Trailhead, to Chevlin Park over on the west side as well, all within just a collective short distance. All things like this really separate Discovery West from other style communities that are ongoing right now. But in this video, we're going to be covering everything that I mentioned, as well as giving you updates within the community from a market update standpoint. So what's going on with price points? What's going on with inventory? What's going on with recent sales? All those things, in addition to what phase are we in and where we headed, all going to be covered in today's video. So if it sounds like a video that could be of service to you, stick around. We're going to be jumping into this video about Discovery West right now. So what is Discovery West? Well, if you're familiar with Northwest Crossing, which you probably are if you're looking into Discovery West because they're adjacent to each other on the west side of Bend, then you'll know the blueprint of what Discovery West will be eventually. Because frankly, Northwest Crossing and Discovery West have the same developer, Brooks Resources. So Brooks Resources started Northwest Crossing some 26, 27 years ago, and now you see the completed product. And it's like this little ecosystem where if you live there, it's almost like you don't have to leave if you don't feel like it. You've got coffee shops, you got little grocery stores, you got little retail shops, you got restaurants everywhere. You've got the marketplace that is the Grove. You've got workout facilities, you've got healthcare offices, you've got multiple schools, you've got the trails, you've got the parks, you got the common area, you've got the gateways to the Phil's Trails, to the Chevlin Parks, the road to Mount Bachelor if you do need to get into a car. But the point is like you don't really need to go anywhere. It's a master plan community that literally has everything that you need to survive on a pretty regular basis. Of course, you're going to go to Costco, you're maybe going to go downtown, maybe going to go down by the river at some point, but ultimately speaking, these master plan communities, this is what they're designed to do. And most of them are so early in their development that you don't understand what they're supposed to be because that's still years away. Now, Discovery West is kind of, 5 or 6 years into their development, which is great. We're in phase 5 and 6 and 7 right now. And you can see there's all kinds of infrastructure for dozens, if not hundreds of more homes that are in place right now over in Discovery West. And it's like Construction Row right now, but it's also a development and a neighborhood that's been around for about 5 years. And there are homes there that are going up for sale, resale. And there's already that vibe and that culture. You're getting a feel for it. The trails are there. The commercial area has just really opened and now it's starting to fill with commercial businesses. We've got some really unique style businesses. I know Sparrow Bakery's got a little spot down there. There's other businesses over there as well, like Put a Cork in It, Harper House Design, Form Pilates, Bluebird Skin Therapy, Anna Salon, among others. And so that is a very unique little area as well, a place where people gather and they hang out. And that is the purpose of, say, a Discovery West or Northwest Crossing, these master plan communities. But if you take the fact that they're located where they're at, that's what really puts the bow on it for them. Not just the fact that they have all of these unique style homes within them. And that's a whole nother selling point as well, the architecture. We'll get to that here in a second. But that is the real key piece here is the fact that they are located where they're located, but also the design and the architecture of the homes, because most master plan communities are either by a single builder or just maybe one or two or three or four. This one is by up to 20 builders. So very unique mix of architecture and home style. So who are the builders of Discovery West? After all, a master plan development of 800 homes or less generally, typically, usually has maybe one up to maybe three or four builders. And that's really it. It's capped out at that. But most of the time, it's just one primary builder. But in this situation, you got up to 20 different custom home builders. The builders in Discovery West are a hand-selected group from the Builders Guild, comprised of local high-end custom and semi-custom firms. Rather than cookie-cutter style homes, these guys are building from their portfolio of work based off of their experience, and the style of home is generally going to be a variety of style, ranging from, say, mid-century modern. That's going to be the majority of the homes in Discovery West, but there's also craftsman style homes. There's modern farmhouses. There's also Scandinavian homes as a style, as an architectural style. And so that is something that really sets Discovery West apart, with the variety of home builders ranging from, say, B&C Building to Curtis Homes to Fusion Home Builders to Greg Welch Construction, Hackbarth Builders, Heritage Homes, JD Neal Construction, Leader Builders, MCD Homes. The list goes on. And this group of builders, many of which are award winners, they've done fantastic work. They have great reputations within the community, and it's going to be reflected based off of the current state of the market within Discovery West. That's where we're going to go next, is checking out what is for sale, what is sold, what are the price points, what's the price per square foot for most of these homes in phases 6 and 7 right now, which is where the focal point construction row really is. So let's dive into that. All right, let's take a little look at what's going on in the market of Discovery West, and only Discovery West, over the last year. All these blue dots and orange dots represent activity within the market. The blue dots are closed sales. The orange dots represent current homes under contract. If you look to your right over here, what you're going to notice is Compass Park. This is Northwest Crossing, the original master plan community. And then we've got a smaller version of that, which is Discovery West, to the west of it. And what you'll notice here are those that are kind of on the right-hand side of Discovery West. Those are going to be the older homes, phases 1, 2, 3, 4. Those are all resales. Those are about 2 or 3 or 4-year-old homes. But these ones over here on the left-hand side, that's going to be your new construction. That's everything that's going on right now. And so there is a ton of activity going on in Discovery West as we speak. It is construction row over there. If I were just to draw a small little circle here to give you an idea what's happened in the last year, say just 1,000 feet. Let's pretend it's just under 1,000 feet. How many closings or pendings in the last year within just 1,000-foot radius? We're looking at 28 total sales or homes that are currently pending right now. And that is what makes it remarkable, is there's so much activity going on over in Discovery West as we speak. So we take this little circle off and we just reevaluate what's happening in the subdivision in general. And what we notice is that there are 51 closings in the last year. That is a lot of sales in a slow market like this one right now. And so there's still plenty of activity, because we're going to see it here in a second. The inventory that is available is also astronomically high for a small subdivision. But if we look over here, what we see here, the lowest priced home was going to be 1.275 last year, and it was 1,480 square feet. Ended up selling for $861, or just a little over $861 a square foot. Just to give you a little idea, let's pan through some of these pictures here to give you a feel for what this home and style and architecture really is like, so you can get an understanding of what the lowest priced home was last year. If we go to the next one, this looks like new construction. So this one sold while it was still under construction last year at $1.35999. And then if we just pick out another one or two before we go to the highest price point homes, what we'll learn is that we're getting into a lot of mid-century modern style architecture. That's what this neighborhood and subdivision really kind of is known for, but the craftsman style homes are also fantastic as well. But this gives you an understanding of what, say, the interior looks like as well as the exterior looks like for some of these homes. Now, if we go all the way down to the highest price point homes, what we're going to learn here is that there are two that sold for over $2.8 million last year. This home here was 3,266 square feet, only took 4 days on the market for it to go pending. List price was 2.895 and they closed at 2.85. So you've got homes that are nearing $3 million in Discovery West, as well as those that are on the lower end, just over a million, more like 1.3-ish in that range. But this hopefully gives you a little idea. This was the second highest priced home that sold last year. And this one here on Strickland was 4,331 square feet, sold for $2.85 million. And this one took 300 days, likely because it was on the market before the construction was complete. But if you look at these pictures, though, this looks like the backyard backs up to Discovery Park. And that is very unique. You got this little patio area here that is facing, which would look like south based off of what I'm interpreting here. And then you have on the other side of these rocks below is going to be a kind of a gulch, a little valley that goes down into a walking path where Discovery Park begins and goes all the way over to essentially Northwest Crossing. So pretty unique. You can see it there. There's the walking path down there. You got a little putting green, metal roof. This is a absolutely stunning home. But this hopefully gives you a little perspective of some of the quality of work that these home builders are really putting in place in Discovery West. Now, if we looked at more of a analytical style breakdown, we've got right now, as of this moment, we've got 4 pendings in Discovery West, and they were built either between 2022 and all the way up to brand new construction. And then we've got, in the last year, we've got 47 total closings. And so the median price of a closed home in Discovery West last year was $1.875 million. That was the listed price. The closed price was $1.85 million. So that is very interesting. The median list price per square foot is $714, and the sold price per square foot $705, with a median size home of $2,677. So $705 a square foot, $1.850 in terms of the median home price and what they sold for over the last year. Hopefully this gives you some perspective as to what's going on over in Discovery West, because it is an absolutely phenomenal subdivision right in the perfect location with so many different amenities and so many different architectural styles that really separate it from the masses of other master plan communities in Bend and Central Oregon. So a very desired area. It's going to continue to blossom in that regard. Right now we're seeing kind of a lull in the market because days on market for some of these homes is looking at 78 to 82 to 85 days. That's the median days on market for some of these homes. Now keep in mind, some of these homes go on the market while they're still under construction. So we have clients that will actually walk through homes that are currently just getting framed, or they've got their drywall, their countertops, their kitchens are installed, but there's still no paint, the flooring's not installed yet, things like that. And so you have to infer what it's going to look like. And so sometimes that kind of keeps it on the market a little bit longer than what it really should be if it was more of a completed product right out of the gate. But point is that homes are flying up right now. There are 23 homes on the market right now in Discovery West too. So a solid amount of inventory, which also contributes to the fact that some of these homes might stick around for a while, because you've got buyers that are looking for homes in the mid $1 million range, 1.4 all the way up to 1.8, and even beyond that. And the median home price in Discovery West right now is 1.85. So it's going to be a select group of buyers that are going to be able to get in there and get one of those homes. And so naturally those homes can sit if the market is relatively slow. But there is a healthy dose of cash buyers that are just coming in right now. They find the right one. And so we had clients in town over the last couple of weeks looking at homes in Discovery West, and it was kind of fun because all we would do was just park, and then we'd have 5 or 6 showings all within like I don't know, a 300-yard radius, and we just go from one house to the next door to the next door to the next door, and that's kind of the nature of what's going on over in Discovery West right now. But again, the builders are all very unique in their own right, but they all kind of come together and make a similar style product, but just have their little nuances that are different from one another that really separate them from their competition. But again, Discovery West, absolute stunning subdivision. It is now in its phases 6 and 7. You can see the infrastructure for going back towards the cliff where Tree Farm is up above, and it's just going to continue to grow and grow and grow, and these builders are just putting up homes like gangbusters right now, and they are of high quality. So this subdivision is very, very sought after. I highly recommend checking it out if it's something that you are interested in. The west side of Bend, the amenities, the restaurants, the shops, all the things that are within just a short, non-vehicle ride or walk or whatever it is you want to call it from your doorstep. And getting there is something that is very spectacular and very special. So the possibility of retiring into the Bend and Central Oregon area. That's what today's video is going to be all about. We get a lot of visitors here in the Central Oregon area on an annual basis. Upwards of 4 million, maybe even closer to 5 million visitors on an annual basis come through Little Deschutes County in the center of Oregon, isolated from the rest of the population. And a lot of those people decide, hey, this place is fantastic to vacation and visit. What's it like to maybe live here full time? Or better yet, what's it like to potentially retire here and not have a job? Because if you're in that age range, that phase of life where it's time to start thinking about where you want to be, you're no longer tied to that city where you're getting your paycheck. And now you can actually have that freedom of choice. Where would you like to be? Bend is definitely a strong consideration for many people when it comes to that phase of life, retirement. And what we want to do today is really kind of break down the pros and the cons. I mean, there's plenty of pros. There's probably a few cons too for many people. And then we want to kind of shed light on both just so you have a better understanding and grasp of what life in retirement would really be like. Would you be entertained enough? Would you have enough to do here in Bend? Well, it all depends on what your preferences are. And so with that being said, there are things that you would like to have in retirement, but there's also things that you absolutely need in retirement as well, right? And so we want to touch on that. We got several different categories that we're going to be discussing, and they range from, say, safety. What's it like to live in Bend? Is it safe? Is Redmond safe, etc.? Cost of living. What's the cost of living like compared to where you're currently at? Is it going to be affordable long term when you retire into the Bend and Central Oregon area? What's our climate and what's our weather like? Of course, those are big questions to ask. Most of you probably have a basic understanding of our climate and our weather, but when you're living here full time, 365 days out of the year, kind of an important question to ask. Of course, the next one, healthcare availability. What is our healthcare like here? We're kind of isolated in Bend. Okay, we're on the other side of those mountains where, we have 4 million plus people in Oregon, but the majority of them live on the other side of the mountains, about a 2.5 to 3 hour buffer zone away by car. That's where probably 3 to 3.5 million people live over there. So do we have the sustainability with our healthcare system on this side of the mountains? That's another great question to ask. Things that you value in your everyday life. Does Bend have that? A lot of you that are going to be retiring are coming from larger metropolitan areas. So does a small town like Bend, does it have those amenities that you're just used to on a daily basis? We'll touch on those. Amenities that would help support your retired lifestyle. Of course, that's a big one. That's more of like recreational type stuff. We'll touch on that here in a second too. Then of course, proximity to a major airport. We have an airport. We just did a video on that a couple weeks ago. We can circle back here in a second, but that's what we really want to kind of touch on here to help you understand. Okay, does Bend have what it takes to help support your desired lifestyle during retirement? So let's hop into each one of these categories and address it towards Bend and Central Oregon right now, starting with safety. So if you're retiring and you're considering where you're going to live, obviously it's a destination. You're choosing to live in that respective area. Whether it's a big city or it's a small town or somewhere in between, you're going to want to feel safe with where you're at, right? And so that leads us to kind of our first category, safety in Bend. Now, Bend, generally speaking, is an incredibly safe area. we don't have a lot of violent crime in Bend. Now, we'll get it from time to time, and it often shakes the community to the core. And it might take days, might take weeks for the consensus of most of us to get over that moment. Whatever happens, it does happen. We're not immune to it, but it's so infrequent. Okay, more often the crime that we have to endure here is going to be vandalism, or it might be car break-ins in certain areas of town, stealing merchandise, or it could be porch thefts in certain neighborhoods. But I mean, generally speaking, violent crime is at a minimum. I feel comfortable anytime, any place. In Bend, I mean, I do. I mean, it can be midnight, it can be 2 a.m. I would feel fine. Okay. And I feel comfortable letting my kids hop on their bike, drive down to the old mill with their buddies, or they can ride their bikes to the river at some of the parks down there, or even downtown Bend. I mean, I feel comfortable letting them do that so long as they're exercising caution when they're riding their bikes along the roads. I mean, that's kind of my biggest concern as a father when I'm letting my kids kind of spread their wings a little bit and go off and do activities on their own. I'm not worried about crime. And so that should be something, hopefully, that paints a picture for Bend in general when it comes to, say, the crime rates and the safety. Bend is a very safe place, and that should be something that you have conviction with when you choose to retire here. So the next category, when you're considering retiring to the Bend and Central Oregon area, or anywhere else for that matter, obviously, cost of living. What's it cost to live somewhere that you would maybe want to retire to? Now with Bend, it's obviously a polarizing topic. We've got plenty of people that believe Bend is kind of cheap. I mean, I'll just be honest about it. They think it's way, way more affordable than where they're currently at. And that really is the truth, because California generally has a higher cost of living. Seattle generally has a higher cost of living than Bend. Many cities have a higher cost of living than Bend. Now, I'm not here to say that the cost of living is absolutely fantastic, because it does feel very expensive here much of the time, especially if you're retired. I mean, if you're not really working and you have just time on your hands to go do stuff, I mean, you're probably going to be spending money doing stuff, right? So, I mean, like if you're a golfer, well, maybe get a golf membership somewhere. That can be expensive. Or if you're playing public golf courses, you're probably looking at $100+ per round, maybe more. Just kind of depends on the seasonality or the time of day. But other activities too, I mean, they can add up. And so, the cost of living, going to eat out on a regular basis, oftentimes for me, it feels like the cost of food at restaurants right now is higher than it's ever been, and it gets kind of frustrating. It adds up. So yes, it can feel like the cost of living is relatively high, but it's all subjective. It's all based off of where that person's coming from. What are you trading for Bend? I mean, are you leaving San Francisco? Are you leaving the Bay Area? Are you leaving LA? Are you leaving New York? I mean, who knows? So the cost of living is all relative. The median home price right now in Bend, yes, we're teetering on all-time highs. Redmond's really high, up over $500,000 for a median-priced single-family home. But again, it's all subjective. It's all based off of what are you trading that for? What is your opportunity cost with where else you're considering? But the cost of living is manageable, maybe for many people that are in the realm of retirement, but at the same time, it's not manageable for everybody. Next category, for a potential or prospective retiree. This is kind of a polarizing category, actually, for those that are looking into retirement. It's the weather. Okay, the climate and the weather. Right? Southern California and Florida, they have a ton of people that live down there because the weather is, it's sunny and warm all the time. But, you get some cons and negatives that go along with it. But Bend is generally a very mild climate. Okay, we have 4 seasons, of course, which is great. Some people love that. Some people can't stand the 5 months of winter. I know, I said 5 months. Now, it's not necessarily that bad here. It's actually better than most people realize. And once they kind of get into the swing of things when it comes to our weather patterns, it's really easy to manage. We have about 6 months of great weather a year. Now, we'll have swings in the shoulder season. Say April was one of the best weather Aprils I can remember since living here since 1991. I mean, it was basically 70 degrees, about 68 to 70 degrees. It felt like just about every day with very minimal rain. And then May came, and here we are in the end of May, early June right now, and it's been very pleasant as well. There are swings. I went to the James Taylor concert a couple weeks ago, and he could barely feel his fingers. I'm telling you, that was a cold one, but it was probably still 40, 48 degrees. It just felt cold because it's late spring, and we expect 80 degrees all the time. But I digress. The weather is very mild, very manageable. Daytime highs in the summertime are going to be about 80 to 85 with some exceptions, right? We might have 90, 95, or maybe even 100 once in a while or for a couple days. And then in the wintertime, it's going to be about 40 to 45 degrees. Sometimes it gets up to 52 or 55 in the winter, or sometimes it stays below 30 for a daytime high. Okay, it's just the mild swings, and it's not extreme cold like up in the Northeast or the North Midwest. It's not extreme humidity and heat like the South. It's very mild and very manageable. Some people don't like any cold at all, and that's probably why it deters many people from retiring here. But if you like four seasons, I think it's a place that you can absolutely manage. And if you get sick and tired of, say, the cold and the dark, and it's really not that dark either, but if you get sick and tired of that cold and that dark, say around January 1st or February 1st, go book a vacation for a couple weeks. You're retired. So it's manageable. You want to be here in the spring and summer. That's why Bend is so popular. So a big question retirees have to ask themselves, especially as they continue getting more and more experience with their retirement, is what's the healthcare situation like in my respective town that I chose to retire in? Now, large cities are going to have probably more specialized care. But Bend is very competitive when it comes to general healthcare offerings, especially for a town of just 100,000 people in a county in metropolitan area of about 200, just over 200,000 people. Now, there are specializations that would require you to maybe go to OHSU in Portland, but that's not too far away. But Bend in general is a destination. And so with that being said, there's going to be those healthcare providers that are scratching and clawing their way to an opportunity to live and work here in the serene surrounding environment of Bend. They want that lifestyle, that work-life balance too, just like anybody else that's trying to figure out a way to live in Bend. So with that being said, there are a multitude of quality and highly educated healthcare providers in this respective area, and we are getting stronger and stronger each and every year. Now, it's not to say that we're perfect. We're getting stronger, but there are certain specialized treatments that some people would have to go elsewhere to get. But if you're early in your retirement journey and you just need general practitioner services, then Bend is an absolutely fantastic place to be. We have our largest employer in the area, and that is St. Charles Health Systems, and it is a level 2 trauma center. And generally speaking, what Bend has to offer for a mid-sized town of 100,000 people is going to be primary care and then those that specialize in certain types of services. Oftentimes, the specializations that are included here in the local area are going to be oncology, cardiology, orthopedics, neurology. They're all available. And then there are partnerships with, say, larger institutions like OHSU up in Portland that can help facilitate the travel and help facilitate the appointments that need and are required for more specialized types treatments. But generally speaking, there is a very strong community of healthcare providers in the area here, and that's something that should bode well for anybody who's looking to retire to a smaller town with a slower pace of life that's also ridden with benefits elsewhere outside of, say, what potential limitations there could be. Because again, it's not perfect, but it is pretty darn good for a town of this size. You know, one of those things that retirees that are kind of conducting their due diligence about where they want to end up is, the things that you value on an everyday basis, whether it's a Costco or it's Trader Joe's or whether it's Whole Foods or Market of Choice, those stores that you love to frequent that are typically in bigger cities. Well, Bend has them. Okay, we've got the movie theater, of course. We've got all kinds of different little cultural outlets within town that might be something that you're used to in a big city, like little pockets of neighborhoods that just have different vibes. Okay, Bend is starting to get that too. And that's something that retirees that are coming from larger areas that might have a higher cost of living or higher crime rate or higher traffic rates, that they're trying to they're getting away from that, but they don't want to necessarily give up some of those things that they value about the larger towns and larger cities. Well, Bend is getting to that point where it's at a bit of a tipping point where it's large enough to attract those larger corporations that just make our life easier and more convenient, like going to Trader Joe's or Market of Choice, these fantastic stores. We have that. We have mom and pop versions of it too. And when you get here, what you'll realize very quickly are there pockets of neighborhoods around Bend, especially the West Side and Central Bend, that have all this culture and they're so unique from one to the next. And you get that in larger cities, but you also have to deal with the negatives of those large cities too. So coming to Bend with our current population the way it is and kind of where we're headed with our city planning, it's a spot where you don't have to give up those things that you value each and every day just to get away from the things that you don't want to deal with in retirement. So another strong case for Bend in retirement. Now, as we get later into this video, we're going to be going more and more into the reasons why you choose Bend to retire, as opposed to, say, those necessities, things that you gotta have first before you can really consider the amenities that draw you to Bend. I mean, this section of the video applies to anybody that loves the lifestyle that Bend can offer. But for retirees, especially when you don't have to work, I mean, you have so many different things that you can do on a regular basis. And it doesn't matter what season we're in too. There's always something going on. Whether it's the wintertime, you have Mount Bachelor, of course, the 6th largest ski resort in the country, 20 miles away. I mean, it's crazy having that type of ski resort at your local disposal. But then you also have a lot of cross-country ski opportunities and snowshoeing opportunities and other snow and winter recreation opportunities that are just fluid during the winter months. And then of course you get into the spring season where it's kind of like the hybrid. So you can do the skiing and you can do the golfing or the warm weather activities in the same day, because it's still a hard snowpack up in the mountains at 52 degrees up there, but it's also 75, 20 miles down the hill in Bend. And so what a perfect combo, right? You've got golf courses. We've got 30 different golf courses in Deschutes County. I mean, that's pretty darn good for having just, say, 200,000 people. And then if you extend outward from Deschutes County, there's probably another 5 or 10 in the surrounding counties. Pickleball, tennis is a huge developing scene here in the Central Oregon area, and we have multiple facilities with more going in. In fact, it seems like every hospitality style business, whether it's a new RV park on the south end of Bend or it's new master plan developments in every which pocket of Bend right now, they're offering and they're installing pickleball courts as part of their local amenity offering, because it's such a popular thing right now. Tennis, of course, is very popular as well, but pickleball really is kind of taking the world by storm, and Bend is not an exception to that. When it comes to, say, restaurants and dining and entertainment, of course, we have the Hayden Homes Amphitheater. We have 50 plus shows a year of A-list entertainers. I mean, Jerry Seinfeld's coming here this year. We just had Sting last week. We had James Taylor the week before. We've got Brad Paisley coming up. We have just a laundry list of these A-list type entertainers that aren't on their retirement tour. They're here in their prime, and it's pretty awesome being down there on the river 50 plus nights a year, sometimes even more than that. We might even get 60 plus shows. That is something that is fantastic. Pair that up with the restaurant scene and the culture of dining in Bend right now, which is at its all-time high when it comes to just the offerings, the creativity, what we have. There's over 600 restaurants or dining establishments in Deschutes County alone. We've got 27, maybe up to 30 different independent breweries in the local Deschutes County area as well. So if you love craft beer, you love eating out, I mean, Bend is going to have something for everybody, especially with a town of this size. It just keeps getting better and better. Hiking, outdoor enthusiasts. I mean, what else can we say? The Deschutes National Forest, over 1.6 million acres of just outdoor mecca. You've got Phil's Trailhead for those mountain bike enthusiasts. We've got multiple other circuits too, but Phil's is kind of the popular one. That's the one that's most famous. But we've got inside the city limits hiking trail circuits. We've got outside the city limits and up towards the mountains hiking trail circuits. And then we haven't even touched on the fact that we have the Cascade Lake Scenic Area, the Scenic Byway, all of those lakes up there, just 20 to 40 miles away from Bend. There's over 150 lakes up there, but there's about 12 to 15 that are kind of famous lakes that kind of give Bend and the Cascade Lakes Scenic Area and the Cascade Lakes area its notoriety. And you can fish, you can ski boat, you can stand up paddle board, you can canoe, you can hike around them. There's a lake for everybody, whether you want to take your jet ski or whether you just want to canoe or have no motors on a respective lake. You can do that too. But it's just a mecca for outdoor enthusiasts. If you're retired here, I don't know if you could do everything that is a possibility in this little area during your retirement years. I mean, I've lived here for 30 plus years, and there are things that I have on my bucket list that I still haven't done because there's so much to do. It's pretty wild and remarkable. So another little sneaky reason to potentially retire here is you want to make things easy for your kids and thus your grandkids. Attract them to you so you don't have to go there to them. And if you live in a town like Bend, I think your kids and then your grandkids are going to come see you as opposed to the opposite. So another thing to consider because there's so much to do here. So yeah, the amenities and the offerings of just all kinds of activities. Spot on, and it's second to none here in this area. And finally, okay, we're going to wrap it up with a seventh category today, and it's proximity to a major airport. Okay, you got to go places. You're retired. Maybe you have family that lives elsewhere. You need to hop on a plane and get there in a relatively convenient way. And that's our Redmond Airport, the Bend/Redmond Airport. It's about 15 miles away from Bend. It's right in the city of Redmond if you're going to choose Redmond. And either way, you're in a great position because we've got 30 plus flights that are outbound every single day. We're actually going through an expansion that is just breaking ground this week. And it is going to add 80,000 more square feet. I mean, it's a great airport that is serving the masses. There are plenty of people that need to go to California every day or go to Texas or go to Colorado or go somewhere east or go to Seattle. I mean, you can get there in a relatively short order, and that's what makes it great. You don't have to feel isolated in this part of Oregon, whereas it used to feel really isolated because Portland really was the hub of Oregon. And for those that lived in Bend, it's not the case. I don't go to Portland much at all anymore. I don't need to. I fly to Seattle or San Francisco, and then I go to my respective destinations after that. And that's the way it can be for you too in Bend in retirement, because there are so many different flavors of Bend. And as we get, further and further along with technology and everything, Bend just becomes a place that's in a fantastic location. It's got a buffer zone from the rest of the culture of Oregon, but it's also easy to get to anywhere you need to go by way of our more modernized airport that we have as we continue moving forward. So very exciting times living in Bend, retiring in Bend. It's not perfect, but it's pretty darn fantastic. I invite you to do your further due diligence. I invite you to call and reach out to Zach or myself to learn more about potentially retiring and relocating here. We want to help you figure out where you should be in Central Oregon when you retire. So call us or text us. Reach out to us. We can set up the meeting and then we can learn more about your situation to help you make that decision upon arrival where it is in Central Oregon you should be, because if you're not here, you're missing out, and I don't want you to. So again, my name's Ryan. I'm a licensed broker with eXp Realty in the state of Oregon. Thank you for watching these videos. If you haven't done so yet, please like the video or subscribe to the channel, and of course, reach out when it's your time. Thank you, and we will see you on the next video.
What is it, January 14th?
Yeah.
And it's 58 degrees and beautiful sunshine, and I can literally walk from my office down along the river right after eating lunch, and it's things like that, paddleboarding right there, you know, all the outdoor stuff, the concert venue behind us.
It's 55 in the middle of January.
Location, location, location. It's so beautiful and a beautiful state.
Sure.
People here are pretty friendly, and
Yeah.
there's just a lot to do.
So many things to do around here that why would I move anywhere else?
I love the outdoor culture. I mean, that's like #1 for me. That
I love that all my family and friends are here, but I also just love the outdoors and how quickly accessible everything is, and to the mountain and trails and the river, all those good things.
So we're down here in the Old Mill District today. It is literally mid-January. It's about 60 degrees or just under 60 degrees. It's like a picturesque bluebird day. Truly a spectacular weather day down here in Bend, Oregon right now. And it's probably the way it is just about anywhere in Oregon, but it's just a really remarkable winter that we're experiencing right now. So today we're outside. There's a ton of people outside with us, and we're just gonna probably go knock on some doors and try and ask some people that live here locally what their thoughts of living in Bend are all about, how long they've lived here and just why they live here, etc. So we're just gonna let those people do the talking for us in this video. If it sounds like a good video for you, stick around. We're jumping into it right now.
That being said, we're gonna bop around the old mill here. We're gonna ask people if they'd be willing to answer 6 quick little questions about what they think about Bend, what they like about Bend, what they dislike about Bend, why they believe there's been such huge growth here, what people should look into before moving to Bend. So we're gonna start asking people questions. So how long have you lived here in Bend, Oregon?
My family moved here in 1995, so just over 30 years.
Well, I grew up here, so
Well, we're from Oregon originally.
Okay.
I lived in Bend for about a year and a half, like back in 21, 22, and I just moved back in May.
I moved to Bend about 5 years ago.
well, I'm actually from Bend. I was born and raised here, and me and my husband left to travel, and then we decided to have a family, and so we moved back.
How long have you lived here in Bend?
22 years.
Okay.
This is my 22nd year.
That's awesome. So serious staying power. Most people that come here don't really tend to leave too often.
Right.
Why do you think so many people are relocating here to Bend, Oregon?
Yeah, I think some of the reasons I've already talked about why I enjoy living here, but you know, there's a growing amount of industries where people can come and actually find work.
Well, because it's 55 in the middle of January.
Like decades ago, it was just a resort town, and so finding work was really hard, but there's so many different industries and businesses and startups and all these different sectors where people can actually find good careers.
Culture. I mean, that's like #1 for me, that you can go on a day like this, go walk your dogs, and everybody else is outside.
Yeah.
Hop on a mountain bike, go to the mountain, whatever, you know?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
crazy, especially in the middle of January. It's
I
like
know.
this right now.
Feels like March right now.
A lot of people were able to start working remotely, and so they were able to come and make their high wages and then buy, you know, houses for a lot less than what they're used to paying, you know, in like the cities in Portland or Washington or, you know, I mean, Seattle, stuff like that.
Just like the outdoors, the access to the outdoors. I was in Florida before, and it was just a different vibe.
We always wanted to be here.
Yeah.
But we never made the move.
It's pretty attractive to live in a place like this where 20 minutes away you have mountains and lakes and rivers and all the outdoor activities that you can possibly ask for while also making a living.
Well, the word started getting out when we moved here, and but the primary people that come that we've understood, this is my friends and I and my husband, but is people from California and Seattle.
Well, because it's 55 in the middle of January. It's a great community. We have really great schools. We have really awesome events. It's beautiful.
This is the hard question. What do you dislike about Bend? What do you dislike about living here in Bend?
Oof, that's a good question.
Well, what a lot of us say now is some of the negative parts of growth, just things being crowded from not here at Old Mill, but parking and the things that come along with it's doubled since we moved here.
The amount of traffic, right, that's kind of piling up, and then just the amount of people that it seems like it doesn't ebb and flow anymore.
Sure.
It's just like one big mass of people.
Yeah.
I mean, I would say the crowds, but then again, when I leave Bend and I go somewhere else, I realize it's actually not that crowded compared to other places.
Probably just the cost of living, which is like everywhere else.
I don't actually know a good answer to that. I would say probably.
I would say just overall the traffic. And I would also say that we've just gotten so big, but have stayed also so small.
Yeah.
So there's just not a lot of room. And also the cost of living is definitely a con, but you get what you pay for, right?
I mean, rents are high, and then the price of homes and stuff has kind of gone up for how much you can make in Central Oregon.
I don't know if there's anything I really don't like about it.
The mountain has gotten very crowded.
Absolutely.
So that's kind of it.
Okay.
But otherwise, I can drive all around town and do 6 different errands in 2 hours.
I don't know.
Yeah, we talk about the cold and the smoke, and sometimes in the summertime, things like that.
I'd say cold. Yeah,
Okay.
I've obviously I've grown up here, so you'd think that I'd get used to the cold, but at this point in my life, I'm actually less inclined to be here when it's cold.
I don't know, your average wage up here is less than, but the price of living is sometimes high.
Absolutely.
But it's all relative. It's still not that bad
Yeah.
compared to other places.
Absolutely. For somebody that's considering moving here, what would you say they should be looking into, checking out, just investigating before they come to Bend?
For anybody that's considering moving to Bend, what advice would you give them?
Well, I would say obviously look into whether you like the cold or not. That would be one key. But really, there's so many great neighborhoods in Bend, and I think they all provide a different flavor, a different type of, of feel. And if you like, being in the thick of things and having food and coffee and shops and stuff within walking distance, there's Northwest Crossing.
I'd maybe just be ready for the finances, but I think you should try anything, even if it's for 6 months.
Yeah.
Go for it. You can always move back to wherever you were.
You can't be a one-season person.
Okay.
And so there's the saying that there's no bad weather, just wrong gear.
I guess just the practical things, job, the cost of living, I guess. I also think spend a whole winter here and see if you like it. If you're coming from, sunny down south Cali or something, you might have a hard time with the winters.
Yes, I would say cost of living and rentals and the housing market is something I would definitely research.
I think it has more positives than negatives.
Yeah.
It's active in the summer, it's active in the winter.
Yeah.
It's just beautiful.
They should definitely research housing costs and what they want for housing, because I think that's one of the number one things is it's a little bit more expensive than other areas because it's so popular. And then just making sure it's right for their lifestyle. So if they're not outdoorsy, Bend might not be the place for them, but if they're outdoorsy and they're doing different things like research, there's a ton of groups out here that go running, go mountain biking, and research those and become a part of those before they move.
And I would definitely start with a budget and priorities. So if you want to live in Bend, that often means a smaller house. And then if you are willing to live in Redmond, you get a little bit more, or Lapine, that sort of thing. So definitely make a priority list.
You can also live like I do outside of the city limits and have literally a house where you look out your windows and you don't see any neighbors. So try to really think about what you're looking for in terms of what type of community you want to live in, because I honestly think Bend has so many different unique types of places to live that you could probably find pretty much whatever you want in a neighborhood here in Bend.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Really appreciate your time today.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Well, hey, thanks for taking the time to share some information and your thoughts on Bend, Oregon.
Thank you guys. Well, thank you guys so much for your time.
Well, thank you so much for stopping and talking to us. It's been awesome chatting with you.
Yeah, enjoy the sunshine.
Thank you.
All right, so we just finished that up. We actually got to talk to 6 awesome people here that are local, and they shared with us their thoughts about living in Bend for X amount of time. Some were new to Bend, some have lived here their entire life. So really neat. We're just right here on the bridge basically the entire time, and so there's just a flood of people out here right now enjoying this sunshine. We even saw a guy running with his shirt off on January 14th. So pretty remarkable events happening on here in Bend right now. And yeah, so we felt like it was a good video. Hopefully you guys got a bunch of information out of it. Zach, any parting words?
So a lot of the things we learned today is people love the outdoor recreation. Huge surprise. Cost of living is something that's top of mind for a lot of people, and they really enjoy just being here in Bend. It seemed like most people that live here absolutely love it. So we really hope you guys enjoyed the video, and we'll see you on the next one.
Today we're talking all about pedestrian-friendly living. This is kind of a series that we're on right now. This will be the second video in a row of its kind. We just finished one last week down by the river near Drake Park in River West. Today we're a little bit further west. We're actually in Northwest Crossing right now at Discovery Park, and this is another just fantastically friendly neighborhood when it comes to pedestrian style travel. So you don't need the use of a car. We're going to be talking all about this area, what the amenities look like, what the houses look like, and just kind of the nature and history of this section of Bend. So if this video sounds like it could be of service to you, stick around. We're jumping into it right now.
We're going to cruise around this pedestrian friendly neighborhood that's smack dab in the middle of Northwest Crossing. A lot of hubbub in this area. And just kind of show you what it's all about. So as Ryan's panning around there, we're looking at some of these amazing houses. So behind us, this is Discovery Park. Nice big park with a huge pond in the middle. Do you know how big this park is, Ryan?
I think it's about maybe 3 or 4 acres.
Yeah, really neat park. Trails on either side wrap around it. You've got some beautiful homes up top there that sit and look down over Discovery Park. Beautiful pond, and then on the right side you'll see a lot of the gorgeous houses that sit here in Northwest Crossing. So Northwest Crossing, when was this developed? 20 years ago?
25.
Yeah.
Right around when Summit High School opened, which is to our right.
Yeah, so they built the high school first out here, and then they've slowly over the last 25 years developed a very, very sought after neighborhood that's full of craftsman style, contemporary style, bungalows, cottages, mid-century modern. It's a eclectic mix of homes that just works really, really well. And as you can see, they're gorgeous.
Yeah, you're going to notice here, this is a master planned community and one of the original of its kind for Bend and Central Oregon. Now a lot of other developments are trying to kind of follow suit for what this thing really turned into. We're in one of the more recent phases of Northwest Crossing right now, and what you're going to notice here is a lot of the trees that were planted are relatively new, and so it feels like a very new neighborhood, which it is. It's probably 10 years old, this section of Northwest Crossing, but we're going to be kind of meandering our way towards the main drag where all the amenities are, which makes it a pedestrian-friendly ecosystem where you can literally live here for the most part and never really have to leave unless you have to go to like Costco or go to the airport or go somewhere with the use of a car. But here with this, the design of this neighborhood, it was specifically intended for just living here and being able to kind of do your day-to-day activity right here within the scope of where you live.
Yeah, so let's talk about that, what's around. So Summit High School, you've got Miller Elementary, and what's the
Pacific Crest Middle School. Yep.
So you've got your 3 schools there. You've got several fantastic restaurants. I'm just thinking off the top of my head. You have Rancher Butcher Chef.
Yep.
You have La Rosa. You have the Washington. You've
Mountain
got
Burger.
Mountain Burger. There's a pizza place. There's a
BFK, yeah.
like a poke bowl place. There's Sparrow Bakery.
Oh yeah.
There's tons of
That wine bar.
yes.
Is that
what
Portello?
Portello, yeah.
Yeah.
Should we head down this street?
Sure.
Show them this one.
This way.
Oh, sure. We'll go this way. There's somebody with their
There you
dog.
go.
Let's not interrupt them. And then you've got several boutique shops inside of the kind of commercial area. And then you've got some businesses as well. You have the Stretch Lab. You have, that's the only one that's coming to mind right now, but I know there's a bunch of businesses in there. I think there's a yoga studio. There's several fitness studios. All kinds of different businesses in this area, which what Ryan was talking about allows you not to have to leave this area unless you need big grocery shopping or airport, like you said. Bend is really encouraging that. You're seeing a lot of builders starting to try to put those spaces that are zoned for mixed-use commercial inside of their neighborhoods to make them more attractive, to make them more pedestrian friendly, because they're finding that people, millennials, you know, which is the base for first-time homebuyers right now. Didn't you say it was like 40 years old?
40 years old is the average age for the first-time home buyer as of the current market conditions. Highest it's ever been.
And millennials, Ryan and I, unfortunately, fall within the millennial, not unfortunately, but we fall within the millennial time frame. So on the left side here, this is Mount Washington. This will take you up towards Aubrey Butte, but it'll also take you all the way down to the river and to the east side of town. In between here and there, you have Broken Top, you've got Tetherow, you've got kind of access down to the old mill district. But this is on the left side over there. You'll see a lot of the older development of Northwest Crossing. On the right side, you'll see a lot of the newer development of Northwest Crossing. And one of the coolest things that they've built out here in the last couple of years, we're about to walk up on right now, which is called the Grove. I'll let Ryan talk about the Grove a little bit.
Yeah, the Grove is like a food truck lot inside. And you can see here, that's Sebastian's seafood store and market right in front of us there. It's all just part of the big building of the Grove. And there's several different little restaurant concepts in there that have like a big cafeteria, just like a common place. And there's coffee, there's a bar over there as well. It's just a really cool area. Yeah, we can walk right through it, that'd be cool. But this is just a really cool area here. This is called the Grove. It's right at the corner here of Mount Washington and Crossing Drive. And that's the main area from a commercial standpoint of Northwest Crossing. So we're gonna go in here. Just kind of rip through here and show people what this is all about.
So yeah, this is Sebastian's great seafood market. Small kind of little boutique market where you're gonna find anything from salmon to sushi, anything fresh bread. And then this is kind of the little indoor food truck lot, if you will. It's got a lot of great little places. You've got Thai food, you got a Jackson's Outpost, Foviet. You've got a Thump Coffee in here. And then you have Waypoint, which is a really neat bar. It's a great place to grab a cocktail, grab a beer, so you can get either coffee or beer on either side of the aisle here.
Yep. Waypoint, that's the little bar concept. And we're just kind of zipping through the building here, and then we're on the other side.
Now if we look to the left over there, that's kind of the first original commercial section of Northwest Crossing to be built. It's where you're gonna find La Rosa, the Washington. And then if we look to the right over here, the kind of continuation of these three black buildings, that's Rancher, Butcher, Chef.
Yeah.
One of the best steak houses here in Bend. That whole building is built for some retail. You've got a couple restaurants, a couple retail shops. And then above you have workspace that you can rent out for offices. So the design of this whole area was work, play, live. So you kind of have these three buildings they built. In the pricing, we're going to talk about pricing in this neighborhood in a little bit. You'll see that there's quite a few condos that sold. That building just to the right up there that matches the facade of this had some beautiful condos.
Yeah.
And those range anywhere from $450,000 to $1 million. We're going to cruise over to this side of the street.
So here we're in mid-November. It's actually Thanksgiving week as of the time this video is going to be airing on the channel. And there are a lot of people just outside enjoying kind of the cooler temperatures right now. It's starting to show, you know, that it's winter. Winter's on its way, but it's still a very pleasant time to be outside enjoying Bend and its outside amenities that it's all offering us. So we're going to cross the street here and pick up the video here in just a second.
We made it.
Okay, so we're across the street. We're safe, and we're coming up on the original commercial drag of Northwest Crossing. This portion of it dates back, say, 25 years, and all this infrastructure was built in early 2000. In the early 2000s. So if we look over there, we have La Rosa. That was the Mexican place that Zach was referencing, and now we have this very charming, just little stretch of commercial businesses and buildings that eventually feeds into the residential area of Northwest Crossing.
Yeah, and you can see the trees here are a little bit more mature, but they do a great farmer's market down here.
Yep.
Is that the summer they do that? Yeah, I think
Yeah, May through the end of September, I believe.
But you've got all kinds of different little businesses. There's Portello that we were talking to you about. There's Mountain Burger on that side. So all more like independent restaurants. You're not going to see a lot of like big chain restaurants. Bend just doesn't have many of those anymore. But yeah, as we continue to go, you'll see the trees continue to get bigger and bigger, and you'll see the style of home changes a lot. You're going to find a good mix of homes here between condos, townhouses, and single-family residences. You're going to see a lot of alley access. That's why the streets look so beautiful here. You don't see a lot of garages from the street, so you get a lot of alley access driveways. This bakery right here, Sparrow Bakery, is phenomenal.
Yeah, this is probably my favorite bakery in town. I think they have multiple locations. They actually just opened one up even further to our west over in Discovery West. And it's just a very popular place. The line's usually out the door on the weekends. But as we continue making our way, we're heading eastbound right now. We're going to be coming out of the commercial area and more into the residential area of Northwest Crossing, which really drives home this master planned community vision that they had some 25 years ago. And that's something that I always like to drive home too, is that there are a collection of master planned communities in Bend, but they're all so young in their development. It's really hard to see what the developers had in mind for that that ultimate end product. But here we can kind of see it. We can forecast what the end product is because we're pretty much there with it.
Yeah, with exception of this one lot sitting right here.
Yeah, this thing's been empty forever.
I know, it's crazy. Eventually, though, it looks like it's slated for several different homes, but yeah, you just don't see a lot of vacant land in this area anymore. They've really started pushing the opposite direction, that's west behind us, right?
Correct.
Pushing west, that's where you have Discovery West, Discovery Corner that Ryan was just talking about, the other Sparrow Bakery. They have their own little section there. We did a video on it not too long ago, where they've got a bakery, wine shop, a couple other businesses all centered around this cool like fire pit. So it's really a huge emphasis that you're seeing here is trying to build these essentially attractions and neighborhoods around them to make those neighborhoods more desirable to live in to the people that want pedestrian-friendly access.
Yeah, there's several parks in this little area, Northwest Crossing. They were coming up on one called Compass Park. We saw Discovery Park behind us where we started this video. There's another elementary school too called High Lakes Elementary that's nearby. But now we're kind of in the thick of the residential portion of Northwest Crossing, which as far as like just what has sold and turned over in the last year, there's been a lot of statistics that have been released just from a national standpoint that this is one of the slowest periods of time in the real estate market in say 30 years, where 28 out of every 1,000 homes turn over. this year, which is so low in comparison to like where we're used to, which is more like 45 or 50 homes for every 1,000 that are available, not necessarily on the market, but just in general. So a 2.5 or 2.8% turnover rate versus what we were used to back during, say, the boom 5 years ago, which was close to 5%. Pretty remarkable.
It is remarkable. And as a buyer right now, there is a lot of, do we want to cruise through the park, or do we just want to cruise?
Let's show them some houses, yeah.
Okay. As a buyer right now, you have a lot of power because homes are sitting longer. If somebody's motivated to get their home sold, they have to move for work, they have to move because they've outgrown the house, or for whatever reason. If there's serious motivation to move, it takes longer to sell a house right now. So you're seeing a lot of price reductions. You're seeing a lot of people accept offers under ask at an earlier stage in the listing process. And you're seeing a lot of seller credits towards buyers' closing costs and different stuff like that. So I've tried to teach my kids growing up that asking is free. So if you have a house you love, a little bit above your price point, ask. Let's write the contract. You know, we got to stay within reason, but at the same time, right now there are deals to be made. What you see on paper doesn't mean exactly that it's going to sell for that. You know, in I think people were conditioned 2020, 2021, part of 22, you know, you'd see a price and then you'd see it close and it would sell for $50,000 more. And it would be on the market for 4 days. Well, that's long gone now. We're still getting good prices for our homes, but they're taking longer to sell. What was the median home price last month?
$778.
And what was the max? It was over 8, right?
Yeah, our all-time high is like 832.
832. So we've seen it bounce down to like the high 6s. We've seen it crest back up over 7, almost 8. So prices are softening, but they're not, you know, free falling by any means. So still a good time to sell. But just know, as a buyer, you have some power right now, and it's important to know that hey, just because that's what they're asking for, it doesn't mean that's what it's actually going to sell for.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And the reality is like from a local standpoint, in this neighborhood alone, I think we've had 53 homes that have turned over. They've sold in the last year here. So that is still a pretty remarkable and respectable number in its own right. But they range, say, from those condominium units that Zach was talking about by the Grove earlier in the mid 400s, all the way up to like single family homes, like say what we're walking by, not necessarily these specifically, but say 3,500 square foot homes that sell for just around $2 million. So that gives you a range, and it puts the median home price for Northwest Crossing in about the 1.15 to maybe $1.2 million range as of this recording.
Yeah, so you'll notice when we're going around, the lots in here are quite a bit smaller, so you're sacrificing being in the middle of all the action for that huge lot size. But with that, I mean, right across the street from most of these homes, there's this beautiful park here. You have several different parks throughout the neighborhood. So if you're looking for something that is lower maintenance, with access to the outdoors, access to parks, amenities, different things like that, a neighborhood like this is great for you. If you're looking for something, a bigger yard, you have dogs, you want space for them, you want to hang out in your backyard, this might not be the best neighborhood. There are different lots and stuff. Everything's just so designed so differently that several houses won't have much of a yard at all, and then others will have a nice yard the way they built the house to leave a little space for that. They're all so unique here. That's what I love about this neighborhood.
Yeah, the charm of Northwest Crossing is something that will never get old, in my opinion. It's just a great spot to really just come spend time. Even if you don't live in this neighborhood, it's still fun to come over here and just hang out at a park, or maybe kind of zip through without a car and just enjoy some of the amenities that are offered here as well, because it's not just Northwest Crossing in this section of town. It's other master plan developments that are ongoing right now, like Discovery West, which is to our west, and it's also a master plan development that has a great commercial area as well that is a little bit further, or excuse me, a little bit less along in its development than say Northwest Crossing, but it's the general idea of what's going on with a lot of new development in Bend, especially on the west side.
Now, if you did want to jump in a car, you're only a couple minutes from downtown here. You're only probably 5 minutes from the Old Mill District here. There's a lot that you're near. You're what, 30 minutes from the Bend Airport?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe 30 minutes from Mount Bachelor?
Yeah, not far from anything.
Yeah, you're maybe 35, no, not 30, you're maybe 20 minutes from Costco, 15, 20 minutes?
Yeah.
So you're not far from anything in a vehicle as well. If you decide that you want to jump in the car and head to a different area, but you really do have most everything you need right here.
You do.
In Northwest Crossing.
You really do. And so we're doing like a big loop here. You can see we're just doing a big circle. That's what this road is. But you have Compass Park right in the middle there. That's about 5 acres. And that's just a big 5-acre parcel right in the middle. This circle is Crossing Drive here. And it just is a great little outdoor park there. It's got a playground, it's got a pavilion, all kinds of things, but it just coincides with just the commercial area that's right on the other side of where we're at right now. And then we have all these homes that are all just kind of mixed in to make this community what it is. It's really spectacular.
And you'll notice on this side compared to where we started, they're a lot more craftsman style. I had a client I was showing the other day, and they said it feels very New England-y here. You'll see
especially those up there.
Yeah. But on the other side, I feel like the contemporary modern style is, you find a lot more of that on that section. You also, these started being built in the early 2000s, and then we all know what happened in 2007, 2008. So there was probably a decent gap in time before a lot of the other stuff was built. And then so you've seen the kind of change in architecture style to go from this craftsman to that more contemporary over on the other side closer to Discovery Park.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's, again, what makes it so unique is just the variety. Like, this is what Zach was talking about here a second ago. New England vibes right here, especially when these leaves are still on the tree like 3 weeks ago. It totally feels like the Northeast, but this is a pretty cool concept here to go along with everything else that we've kind of zipped by so far, just to give you guys an idea what this neighborhood really is all about.
Yeah, from here also you can head out to Tumalo Falls. We'll be out to Tumalo Falls in about 15 minutes.
Phil's Trail.
Phil's Trail, a lot of public land nearby. Yeah, endless possibilities in a cool neighborhood like this.
Yeah, so we pretty much did the entire loop, and we're going to be kind of heading back westbound towards that commercial area that we were in the middle of the video, showing you guys what is offered from a commercial standpoint. So this gives you an idea of what Northwest Crossing, what life over here on the west side is all about, and why Northwest Crossing really is one of the premier neighborhoods in Bend.
There's a lot of people that are looking, considering, maybe pondering the idea of retiring in Bend or maybe somewhere else in Central Oregon. After all, we get 4 million plus visitors each and every year to this area. And so there's a lot of people that fall in love with the Bend and Central Oregon lifestyle. But it's very important to distinguish the difference between, say, vacation mode and reality, because most people that do visit, they are here during the summer months. June and July and August. I mean, July is just magical. It's just a vibe here in Bend and Central Oregon. So many people come, they visit, they fall in love with the area, and they decide, wow, what would it be like to live here? What would it be like to retire here? You can't have that type of thinking, those goggles on, when you're considering where you want to live full time. So it's important to distinguish a few things when it comes to, say, someone potentially retiring to the Bend and Central Oregon area. We've got 8 different categories we want to cover in today's video, because frankly, most realtors, they might not tell you some of these things as it pertains to living here full time. They'll tell you the things that you want to hear. And so that's what we really want to uncover in today's video. So we're going to get into it right now. A lot of people love the idea of retiring here. The thought of it just makes sense, especially when they're on vacation during the summer months. But there are some things that you must know before you really take that plunge and fully commit to Bend or Central Oregon 365 days out of the year. That is the key to a video like this today, is to distinguish the fact that, hey, in the summertime in July, when you're here, everything is perfect, everything is magical, but that's not the way it is year round. And if you're going to retire here, it's important to do your due diligence, because when you make a purchase or when you make that full commitment to being here, it could be a potential mistake for you based off of your personal circumstances and your personal preferences if you're not doing the necessary due diligence. And after all, it's easy not to do the due diligence when you're here in the summertime because everything is just awesome. So there's 8 things that you need to know if you're going to live here full time. We're starting with the first one. It's pretty obvious. It's the climate. We got 4 distinct seasons in the Bend and Central Oregon area. So if you're coming from Southern California or Hawaii or Arizona or maybe Texas or somewhere else in the southern region of the United States and you're not used to 4 seasons, well, you better get used to it because that's the way it really is. When you were here in July or August, yeah, it was great, but it's not the way it's going to be all year. I will say this year has been very unique. We had an extended summer. It went in through September, into October, and even November and December, we felt like we were getting 55 to 65-degree daytime highs. And that is very unusual. It was sunny that entire time as well. Like we don't have any snowfall yet. We are just getting ready to open Mount Bachelor. And this is the latest opening in over 30 years for Bachelor. So they are hurting in that regard. If you are not a snowbird, you are already through 2 months of our doldrum-esque style winter season where it goes through January and February and even exceeds into, it extends into March and sometimes April. You got to be prepared for that. So that's one of those things where it's going to be dark, it's going to be cold, it's going to be icy. There's going to be sneaky snowstorms that just feel like they keep showing up and you're just not going to like it. But the sun generally comes out after it melts it off, but sometimes it lingers for a while. So if you're not a person who can withstand the cold or you don't like skiing, or snowshoeing or just any of those winter style activities, then you need to kind of really decide if this is going to be the right fit for you because Bend is great, but we have 4 seasons. And sometimes when you are looking at your old forecast in your old town and it's early April and it's 80 degrees outside, we're not getting that. It's going to take, a couple more months before we get that 80 degrees where it feels like you don't have to look at the forecast anymore because that's Bend, that's the high desert. We're right up against the mountains. And so we get that climate and it's gonna really affect a lot of people because summer doesn't start generally, it feels like it doesn't start until late June. And that's something you have to deal with. Reality number 2, before you retire into Bend, you're going to have to understand that housing isn't cheap. And it's not necessarily a bargain in Bend compared to, say, Seattle or certain parts of California that you may be retiring here from. A lot of people are looking for, like, say, a shift down when it comes to the cost of living, and they want to save a ton of money and be able to enjoy it and spend less with their actual needs when it comes to, say, housing and other things. And Bend is getting expensive. It always has been fairly expensive, but continues to rise. It feels like it's catching up with certain parts of the Bay Area, as well as Southern California, and certainly with Seattle. So that's something to consider. But there are other flavors. There are other parts of Bend and Central Oregon that you can really find affordable or just great value in. And that's something to consider because Bend and Central Oregon is always going to be Central Oregon. It's going to offer you the same amenities. You just might have to drive a little bit further to one amenity versus the other. And that's fine because, again, we have 225,000 people in Deschutes County. It's not like it's LA. It's not like it's Seattle. It's not like it's San Francisco traffic. And so we don't have to worry about that. Sure, we joke about it and we gripe about it, but I mean, it's all in fun because we don't have that style of traffic we have to deal with. But affordability, Bend has about a $700,000 median home price any given month. Redmond's at 500,000, about 10 miles to our north. We've got Sisters about 700 to 900, depending on how many units sell in a given month. You've got Prineville, which is about 400. You've got, say, Lapine, about $400,000 or just under. So you've got different flavors of Bend and Central Oregon. It's all about preference. It's all about what's going to serve you the best. So a lot of times people learn about Bend and they decide that this is where they want to be. But then when they come here to visit and look at houses, they learn that Redmond might be a better fit, or that Prineville might be a better fit, or that Lapine might be a better fit. So just a matter of doing your due diligence, asking the right questions, and finding somebody to help you with that transaction that is willing to do that legwork to really help you find the right spot, the right time. But the affordability aspect is certainly something that you need to be aware of because we're somewhat isolated here. And so sometimes certain things are a little bit more expensive than, say, in the big city. Reality number three, it's going to be healthcare, it's going to be medical service providers, things in Bend. We've got a great group of medical professionals, and it's a very desirable area for them too. So obviously, some very qualified individuals are going to end up living here. But when it comes to specializations or being able to book appointments and get in a reasonable amount of time, sometimes it's booked out 6 months in advance, even beyond that, 9 months. And so that is one thing where it can be a bit of a drawback living and retiring in Bend, is the fact that access to specific medical care that you need can be something that can be a bit of a hindrance. Maybe you have to go to Portland, an alternative, the closest alternative. But we have had several different relocation clients that were in the retirement phase of life where they came from the Bay Area or maybe Southern California, and they ended up just keeping their medical services that they were using, their doctor. And that's, kind of a sneaky little advantage to Bend. We have the infrastructure now at our airport in Redmond where we can get multiple flights to LAX a day or multiple flights to San Francisco a day or Seattle. And that can allow you to feel like you're retired here, but also you're not completely giving up some of the advantages of being in the bigger city. And that is something to maybe consider. But it could also be the reason why you end up retiring here as well, is that that access to that stuff that maybe Bend doesn't offer is still just, a short flight away and maybe a half day's travel away. Something like that can maybe give people the reassurance like, okay, I have certain needs that Bend doesn't necessarily have the same type of offering that my previous town does. Well, Bend might be able to overcome that with certain other things that it offers. Reality number four, when it comes to considering retiring in Bend and Central Oregon. Sure, we don't have sales tax on anything that we're purchasing, but we do have, say, property taxes, of course, but we also have income tax. And so that is something that's kind of interesting that you need to really understand before you get your boots on the ground here and start living as a retiree, if you don't know that already. We're not New Jersey by any stretch of the imagination when it comes to property tax, but we are in the middle of the pack. So we're not at the lowest. Generally speaking, it's about 0.75 to 0.8% of the property value is a general parameter for, say, what the property tax is going to be on a particular residential property. Now, with that being said, usually if you have a lower property tax in a said state with no sales tax, they're going to offset, the state will, with a income tax. And so Oregon does have among the higher income taxes from the state level than any other state in the country. So that is something that you really need to understand before you really kind of roll your sleeves up and commit to retiring in Oregon, because that is something that plays a role. After you get here, there may be some other things that you want to do. You might have some sort of income that you're already generating that may have to now become part of Oregon's income. All things to consider before really committing to retiring here in Bend. Reality number five is mobility. Your ability to go from point A to point B really, really matters much more than you might think when it comes to retirement. A lot of people, they come to Bend and they end up feeling isolated, especially if they have family around the state of Oregon. You have to be driving quite a bit. We don't really have, say, flights from Redmond to Eugene or Redmond to Medford or Redmond to Salem for that matter. We have basically a seasonal flight from Redmond to Portland, and that just got brought back. Usually, or more recently, it was Redmond to Seattle 7 or 8 times a day. And that was your access point to PDX. So you might be driving quite a bit when it comes to, your need to be mobile. But we do have infrastructure now at the airport. We're getting a big expansion, which is great. It's just adding 80,000 square feet. More and more people are using the Redmond Airport, which means more and more flight providers, airlines are coming in to try and knock on the door to provide service to the patrons of Central Oregon. And so we're getting flights that are direct to Southern California in multiple destinations, the Bay Area, Seattle, multiple times a day. We've got a bunch of eastbound flights now, whether it's Dallas, whether it's Denver, whether it's maybe seasonal Chicago. And we're getting the ability to just really make Bend not so isolated. That's something that I think a lot of retirees, they probably know that they're going to be traveling a lot. And the reality is like, if you need to go to the East Coast, you hop on United, gets you to Denver, and then you're off to the races. So that is something that if you're worried about it, you don't need to be that worried about it, because Bend is growing up at a very, very fast pace, and it's giving us access to all places in the world with just one or two exchanges at airports. So that is nice. And I know you're going to be mobile when it comes to retirement. So that is something that you can have peace of mind with. Reality number six, Bend has a seasonal heartbeat, if you will. And it's generally, late spring, maybe that pole pedal paddle in mid-May when that thing kicks off May 15th or the weekend of each and every year. It kind of sets the tone for the next 6 months of just outdoor, just bliss. The mountains are still open. Mount Bachelor's still open at that time. It generally is only open for another couple of weeks, so you can still get some spring skiing in. But Century Drive is getting ready to open up for, say, Memorial Day, and then it's off to the races. Outdoor activities galore, whether it's biking, hiking, whether it's fishing, whether it's just, you name it. I mean, the list goes on: golfing, tennis, pickleball. There's just so much to do. I mean, even in town now, floating the river, there's thousands and thousands of people that do it each and every year. And they end up going from, say, the river that day to the concert venue at Hayden Homes Amphitheater that night to catch a concert. They're getting some great dinner at some great restaurants in between. They're outside. It's just a general vibe where everybody is kind of here. Even the locals are enjoying life in the summertime. It just has this just awesomeness to it. I mean, it's 85 to 95 degrees any given day. The air is thin. It's not going to be humid. I mean, it's just cool nights and hot days. I mean, it's just a great seasonal vibe that just really gets people attracted to the area. And so that's something to really consider when you're looking to retire, because you're going to love it for 6 months out of the year, and there's a good chance that you're going to love it for 12 months out of the year. But you just got to know that, changes an absolute when it comes to living in Bend throughout the course of a 12-month period of time. Reality number seven, when preparing to, say, retire into Bend. Our culture is great. We have this kind of vibe right now where it's like a very, very small percentage of people still have this get off my lawn style attitude towards California transplants. But I mean, they're very, very few and far between. They're loud, behind the keyboards and stuff, and they share their opinions about how Bend has been ruined since 1972. The reality is like that there's like 100 of those people, maybe. I mean, we've got 225,000 some odd people in Deschutes County, and I would venture to say that 40% at the very minimum came from California. So Bend is Bend because of the people that have relocated. It's a melting pot of people that want to be here and not because they have to be here, if that makes sense. So the younger generation, I'm talking to retirees right now, but if you're younger and you're living in Bend or trying to get to Bend to work because you want to live here, it's like you don't end up in Bend. You try to get here. You try to make a living here. And that's what is great about the area, is that everybody has that attitude. They love being here when they finally get here. They have a lot of like-mindedness, a lot of similar activities that they like to enjoy together, but they're also bringing uniqueness to it as well. And so I think the best part about what, distinguishes this is the restaurant scene. Bend's restaurant scene is getting better and better all the time. There's so many unique restaurants today in 2025 and early 2026 that otherwise didn't exist back in 2000 or before that. And that has a lot to do with the people that have relocated here, brought their energy, brought their culture, all that stuff. And so, I mean, that can just carry over from not just restaurants, but to all kinds of other business concepts as well. And so that's what makes Bend so unique, and the vibe and the culture. So when you're retired here, you're going to love what the younger generation is offering in terms of products or services. Reality number 8, when it comes to living and retiring in Bend. Bend really rewards the planner as opposed to those that just kind of shoot from the hip. And what I mean by that, not just from a financial standpoint, but just from a lifestyle standpoint as well. There are so many things to do in Bend. Maybe you even get a wild hair and decide to start another business after you retire into Bend because of the energy that you're experiencing and the people that you're meeting. The costs are probably higher than most when it comes to starting a new business, or the cost of maybe developing property, or just little things like that. There is such a demand for Bend in general. From a lifestyle standpoint as well, there are certain costs. Restaurants, like the cost of going out has gone just crazy through the roof over the last 5 years. I know that's like that most places too, but Bend just feels like it's just at a different level. The costs of other things too. I mean, there's going to be all kinds of things to prepare for. What your lifestyle is going to look like after you arrive in Bend. You're going to have certain hobbies and certain activities that you want to do that you're going to maybe want to be a member at, or you're going to have to pay for, things like that. And so it's just best to be prepared for what Bend has to offer. There's always going to be a new thing. We're trying to keep up with certain areas, maybe in Southern California. So somebody always has ties. And there's so many people with ties to California. And so they're going back and forth, back and forth. And so they see something, or maybe their kids see something like an idea and they bring it back here. They're trying to bring it to the area because Bend is kind of, trendy in that regard. But point being is like, Bend is trying to really fill gaps within the city limits when it comes to development, whether it's for commercial purposes, whether it's for residential purposes. They're not trying to sprawl the city out. They're trying to make it more of a city style that's just condensed. And so more urban living, which means the cost of living then goes up as well for everything, whether it's just parking, whether it's just going out, whether it's rent for an apartment or a condo, or just even utilizing certain spaces, or trying to develop a certain lot that otherwise has just been sitting vacant for a long time. If something else goes in next to it, all of a sudden the value of that kind of creeps up. So, I mean, just all kinds of things are suited for the person that plans best for retirement, whether, like I said, it's for financial purposes, a business purpose, or whether it's for your lifestyle. But all in all, these are things that you're probably already considering before. If you're looking for more answers to your questions, please reach out. I'm happy to share as much as I possibly can for you so you make the right decision. I've had plenty of clients reach out to me in the past, and we've had these conversations about Bend. And ultimately, at the end of that conversation, it was decided that Bend wasn't the right fit for them. And that is the type of realtor hopefully you are seeking. If it's not Zach or myself, you're looking for somebody that's going to be completely honest with you to help you make the right decision upon arrival. And maybe after arriving, it's to depart shortly thereafter because Bend is not the right spot for you. So that is our goal with the channel and these videos like this. I mean, that is just to be completely transparent, help you make the right decision. And if you do decide that Central Oregon is the right spot, then we will help you find the right fit for you when it comes to what town or what section of the area that is best suited for you. My name's Ryan. I'm a licensed broker with eXp Realty. Thank you for watching these videos. When it's your time to reach out, please do. It starts with you. You've seen our contact information, so start that process and get in touch with us and we can have that conversation. Thank you guys and have a great day.